here we are in the hedge, in the snow, interestingly enough, talking to you about none other than beautiful Snowdrop. And there's lots of them coming here. You can see some at the back here, some here, a little one here. It is the time for them. They are deeply associated with the festival of Imbolc, okay, which is on the 1st of February, and Candlemas, which is on the 2nd of February, okay. So people would often, like, have these as a ritual for this time of year, as a kind of new beginnings. We're in the middle of winter, okay. We're literally halfway in the middle of winter, halfway towards the spring equinox. So this really is a time when we start to see the signs of hope, and here she is. Now, during the First World War, the awful war, but from the trenches, the soldiers would start to see in the middle of the winter these beautiful little flowers popping up amongst the snow, and that was a sign of great hope for them, and it just gave them great condolence that everything was going to be okay, all right? Whether it was or wasn't, it was a good sign. Okay, but yeah, snowdrops are lovely. They're incredibly, incredibly strong. They will pierce their way through the thickest snow. They have incredibly strong tips on their leaves, and they come through. There's an old legend where they have it's the Winter Witch and Lady Snow, and Lady Spring, should I say. And the Winter Witch is battling Lady Spring because Lady Spring wants to come through, but the Winter Witch is not having any of it. So Winter Witch is blowing and really blowing her worst, and you can see right now she's blowing her snow on my head, and she's blowing her worst, and at one point she blows over Lady Spring, and Lady Spring pierces her finger, and some blood from her finger drops onto the ground, and it's said that from there sprang the snowdrop. So it's a wonderful sign when you see snowdrop. It means that spring is just around the corner. Okay. Interestingly, the flower essence of the snowdrop, it is to do with hopelessness. And it's interesting, I recently did a video on another herb that has a real affinity with helping people to cope with hopelessness. And this one particularly, they say it's about feeling hopelessness, but it will give you, taking the flower essence gives you confidence in new parts of your life, and in seeing hope where you didn't believe that there was hope. So at this day and age, we need all the help, you know what I mean? And this is really, really a beauty to work with in nature. She's a lovely medicine to work with, okay? Now, the Latin, Galanthus nivalis, literally means milk flower of the snow. And there she is, she's beautiful. Therapeutically wise, herbally wise, there's lots of medicine with this plant, okay? Now, it has an alkaloid called galantine, which now they've extracted, and they've been using it in the treatment of Alzheimer's. Which is interesting because when you look back in not only mythology, but you look back at the old people's methods of using nature, because they really learnt from the land. There was no books back then, they were learning as they go. What the old people would do is that they would eat the bulbs of the snowdrop. I think they'd grab like half a dozen of these bulbs, and they'd eat them, and they'd eat them for memory and to strengthen their brains. Nowadays we call that Alzheimer's, as a prevention of memory loss. So it's wonderful how these things all come round, how, legend becomes myth, becomes eventually you're going to turn it into modern medicine. So I always find that a wonderful one. It also is an emmenagogue, which means it stimulates the menstrual cycle, okay, which is great. So we always need that one. It's the same family as daffodils, same family as the onions, same family as amaryllis, interestingly. So you never see some of these. Amaryllis is a big flower, and snowdrop is the tiniest little flower. So it really is a sign of hope. So we need that at this time. So yeah, let's just be hopeful when we see our little snowdrop, snowdrop, little drop of snow. What do you do when the cold wind blows? I hang my little head and sing. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, here comes the spring. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, here comes the spring. Blessings be.